Hi, I'm Chris Zach, back here with Fire Rescue TV and Tom from Saw Armor. Today we're going to talk about the installation of the Saw Armor plate on the STIHL Rescue 460 saw. So Tom, can you go ahead and explain to us what we get in the package and how to install this?
Absolutely, Chris. Thank you. Yeah. So here we have a standard STIHL MS460 rescue saw. In this case, the customer has ordered the saw armor protective plate for that saw, including the ladder hook accessory. So the ladder hook accessory is optional. You don't have to take it. But in this case, for completeness, we're going to show you the installation procedure with both elements. So in the box, you will receive, if you order with ladder hook, you're going to receive the armor plate itself, the ladder hook, and you're going to receive 5 screws. Here we have a STIHL Torx T27 T-bar wrench, very high quality wrench, excellent for undoing the Torx T27 fasteners. A aftermarket Torx T30 wrench, which is what's needed for the saw armor provided hardware. Adjustable wrench for a couple of the bolts, needle nose pliers just to assist with securing any nuts and bolts, small screwdriver to assist with alignment of the armor plate holes. Alternatively, you can use an awl, an AWL awl, to assist in lining up the holes, and the sprocket wrench. I normally like to use an impact driver like this to assist with getting the screws in and out quickly. That is optional. These tools are not included with the armor plate. So step one is get the saw onto a level surface. In this case, we're using this nice table here. We're going to take off the bar nuts, and they need to be taken off with a wrench. I'm going to pick some of this dirt out of this Torx bolt right here, like that, just to clean that up a little bit. And then what we're going to do is there's a little nut behind here that sits right in between the plate and the muffler. So we're going to get the pliers on that. And then we're going to get our Torx T27 wrench on that. And we're going to go ahead and just put it in there a little bit. We're going to take that off right there, like that. Spin that off. What we're going to do is make sure that we keep this bolt to hand, because it attaches the chain catcher to the body of the saw. So we're going to need to make sure we can reinstall that afterwards. Now what we're going to do is we're going to remove the last remaining bolt on the heat shield. We're going to stick our little Torx wrench up here, and we're going to hit the impact driver. And now we're going to remove this spacer or standoff, which is being installed onto this muffler bolt mounting hole. It's used specifically for the heat shield. We're going to go ahead and remove it, and we're going to use a 13mm socket. I didn't show this on the tool set we had before, but I've decided that I'm going to use that right now because it's going to give us a nice secure grip on that standoff there. So we're just going to go ahead and just spin that off like this. There it is. Okay. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to replace the standoff that we just removed with an original STIHL muffler bolt. This is a standard 6mm muffler bolt that will be coming in the package with the other hardware. Okay, so now while we're here, we're going to check the tension on the remaining muffler bolts just to make sure they're good and tight, because the armor plate will come in front, then it'll be more difficult to tension them. Now we're going to reattach the chain catcher and do up the little bolt that keeps it in place. Now we're going to remove the bolts from the top handle that are going to be required to carry the saw armor plate. So first we're going to undo this side bolt here. We're going to go ahead and flip the saw upside down, please, Chris. We're going to take the 2 bolts out of the bottom of the top handle right here. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and lift up the saw and get the armor plate into position. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to push the saw in kind of from the front and the side. Just let that go if you would, Chris. Let me take that. Now, this is kind of the tricky bit. You have to kind of thread the side of the handle through that little notch right in here. In addition to that, I'm going to show this for one moment. In the back here, there's our little latch. Now you need to make sure that the rear of the tank handle goes underneath that little latch real nice, just like that. Okay? Now, I'm going to spin it around. Now what we can see is that the saw is halfway into the armor plate and it's sitting right on top of the fuel tank here. Okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of, the way I normally do this is I get under here, I just kind of jimmy it like that, let it sit down like that, and then we're going to pull it back. If you can see that, pull it back real nice. This must be clearly over the rear of the tank handle. We're going to go ahead and put in the first side screw. Now this screw will be the 35mm long thermoplast screw here with the T30 wrench. So you can see here, this is a T30 wrench right here, Torx T30. Okay? What we're going to do is go ahead and put him in here. And of course, we're not going to tighten it up all the way. We're just going to let it sit in there loose, but just enough just to secure it, just a little bit like that. Okay? And then it will sit right there like that. Next step is we're going to take the whole saw like this, supporting it from the front and from the rear, and we're just going to flip it upside down and set it down real carefully on the chain brake and the rear of the housing. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to get ready to install the lower screws. So what we're going to do is just put the oil in here, get the oil all the way through the armor plate, the tank handle, and into the top handle and into the underneath tank handle, which is the plastic piece right there like that. Now at this point we have the decision to make, are we going to install the ladder hook or not? If we decide that we're going to install the ladder hook, which we're doing right now, then we will have to bring that up and install it. If we are not installing the ladder hook, what you would simply do is go ahead and install 2 of these 30mm screws, which are a little bit shorter than the ones that are in the side. Now in this case we're going to go ahead and do the ladder hook. So now that we've aligned the armor plate with the top handle and the tank handle, we're going to take out the oil and we're going to go ahead and position the ladder hook just like so. I'm going to take the 30mm screw, put it right in here like this, let it come down there like that. A lot of times I'll actually put that second one in there too, just to make sure it will stay steady like that. And we're going to go ahead and start tensioning these down. Now you should feel a nice smooth resistance as the screws are coming into the plastic below. It should feel like you're actually cutting into some plastic, which you are. And then once those 2 are in reasonably well, we're going to put the final screw, which is a short machine screw, which is also Torx T30, in this captive nut, which assists in holding and supporting the ladder hook like this. Okay. Now at this point, what I like to do is I like to just check the side, and we can leave it just like so. Go ahead and tension this up. The way we design the armor plate, we put a little bit of a cant on the bend for the side plate. What that does is it provides a bit of positive tension just to push the armor plate in a little bit like that. So it puts a little bit of tension on it just so it stays properly located. Now we can go ahead and tighten up the screws here in the bottom. Generally, in terms of torque, we want them done up nice and firmly. We don't want to be a gorilla. We want to just use a bit of judgment to tension them up. Usually, tension them up till you feel the resistance, and then give it maybe an extra 1/8 or so of a turn, because the threads on these are pretty aggressive. You don't need to over tension them to get a good engagement on the threads there. So now on our final check, what you can see is that the plastic tank handle is not quite lining up with the metal here, That is a pretty normal occurrence for a used saw. Typically the tank handle, through being used and such, may be canted a little bit to the left or to the right. The rear flange here is sitting up nicely against the handle, and the rear of the saw is in good shape. This tab here is a little on the close side to the fuel tank, and you can very easily just bend it out a little bit, either take the plate off and bend it out a little bit, or bend it in place using a screwdriver or your hand, whatever's safe and convenient. And what we're going to do now is we're going to just take a little look-see at the front here. So if we look at the front here, the armor plate is really quite close to the muffler, so we like it to be a little further away than that. We like it to be, perhaps a quarter of an inch to up to about, half an inch away from the muffler. So again, what we'll just do is we'll make a little adjustment. We're just going to pull it out a little bit like that and see how now we have sufficient clearance in between the muffler and the plate.